Today I'm doing a 3-week fill on my client with mostly 3D Pro fans. And she isn't someone who wears a lot of makeup, so I'm doing a really natural volume set on her to really complement her natural beauty. And the style that I like to do on her is an open eye effect, so it's going to be shorter on the outer corners and longer in the middle. I usually go from about an 8mm on the inner corner and 9mm on the outer corner, and then meeting at a 12/13 mix in the middle and putting lots of different lengths throughout as well. But the trick here is when I'm transitioning from my 8 all the way to my 13, I never skip any millimeters in between. So I'll go 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13, and then put all of my shorter lengths in my longer length sections. And I find that this creates a really nice and natural result. But some of these lashes are pretty grown out, so I'm just going to do a quick example of how to remove these. I can see that the base is very secured still on this lash, so I'm not going to try to banana peel it like I normally would. I'm going to actually hold on to the natural lash and then glide the extension off, like so. We'll do that again. Same thing for this one. Hold on to the natural lash. And then. So some of her lashes are very strong and others are pretty blonde and fair. So I'm gonna kind of just gauge each lash as I go. And if I think that some lashes need a little bit of time to grow, I will skip that lash. Or I'll use a really tiny lash on that one if I feel like it can handle it. I've been doing her lashes for quite some time, so I'm pretty used to what she can handle. And I do find that some clients have super fine natural lashes, but that can be sometimes surprisingly strong. So you can kind of like push boundaries and try things out with your client until you really know what their lashes can handle. And what I mean by this is, so for example, sometimes I have really long clients with really long natural lashes, and I'll put, you know, pretty natural lashes on them, and sometimes they'll actually come back and their lashes will seem a little bit distressed. So in these cases I have to bump down the dimension or the length or the diameter and just kind of figure out our clients, because just because they have strong looking lashes doesn't necessarily mean that they're super strong, and vice versa. Just because they have weak looking lashes doesn't mean that they're not strong. And a really good way to monitor this is by using consultation cards. So after each service, just taking note of what you used on your client and how their natural lashes looked when you began. And then at the end of a set, just talking about what you'd like to switch up next time and what you learned about their lashes, and just keep doing this every time. So when I lay the lash, I like to look from the side to make sure that the new extension is completely flush with the natural lash, because of the fans, sometimes it can look from a top angle like it's perfectly on there, and then you look from the side and the base could be slightly lifted. So always just having a quick little double look from the side to make sure that it's perfectly secure. Also, by looking from the side, you can really see if there's any little invisible lashes that might fall into your section. So we want to make sure that we don't adhere any more than one extension to one natural lash. And when we place them really close to the natural lash without touching. And you can see that I'm kind of lifting the lid a little bit while I work. This helps me isolate really easily and also keeps me from sticking an extension to the pad, because I'm kind of separating the eyelid from the pad, just giving a little bit of space between those to make sure that I'm not sticking them together. I also don't always isolate with my tweezers fully open and wrapped around the natural lash. Sometimes I'll keep them closed and just move the lashes to the side and use my fingers to hold the other lashes away. I find that when we work with especially higher dimension fans, that the fans can kind of get in your section that you're trying to isolate. So that's where your finger can come into play. And just hold those lashes out of the way and isolate however you have to. While I'm working, I'm constantly checking my iPads. Most iPads have collagen built into them or some kind of gelatin in them. And when we look, you can sometimes see that the gelatin is forming around the eye. This is a sure sign that it's going to eventually irritate our client. So when you see this, I usually check after about every 15 lashes. And when I see this, I'll just gently move it down so it's just below the waterline. So it's not going to cause any irritation to her eyes, because we definitely do not want to scrape the eye with our pads. This is really uncomfortable for our client. And at the beginning of a service, when it's a new client, I'll usually say to them that if they feel any discomfort whatsoever when it comes to the pads, that they should let me know, because it actually only takes about a second to fix, and it will prevent a lot of irritation for them. When you're using the fans, you can place them either on top of the lash or underneath the lash. And how I gauge where I'm going to lay it is by the curl of the natural lash. So if I'm working with a pretty straight natural lash, I will normally lay it on top. Or if it's like a really nice curvature that goes with the fan that I'm using, I'll lay it on top. And if the lash is really short or really curly, I'll almost always lay it underneath